Everywhere you look, giant studios are in collapse. They were trapped by the woke era, and now there's no digging out of the disaster they dug for themselves. Bungie, Blizzard, so many big names, and today we've got the legendary Halo composer, now running for Congress, Marty O'Donnell, joining us to tell you just what went down and what destroyed the AAA gaming industry. It's a great day. It's a groovy day. Folks, thank you for coming our way, and it's always a pleasure to endeavor explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. As we dive in today with a PhD level of understanding into video gaming, folks, all we ask is that you click that like button. There is no tuition, for everyone here is on scholarship. Just like Blizzard, Bungie is one of the companies everybody thinks of when they're thinking about gaming, and just like we've seen in so many of these studios, Bungie is saying goodbye to some folks, but it comes on the heels of saying goodbye to the geniuses that made the studio what it was. Marty O'Donnell, who's on here with us right now, composer extraordinaire, Halo, Destiny, Flintstones, everything else you can imagine. He says, have we learned any lessons? And Marty, you said this to the statement from Bungie. They say, with great sadness. And sorry, Asmongold pops up on the right, and I just... With great sadness, we are announcing a reduction in force as we reorganize Bungie. As the leaders of Bungie, past and present, we recognize Destiny 2 fell short of expectations these past several years. Following our final content update to Destiny 2, and with our future project still in the early incubation, we unfortunately could not continue operating at our previous size. We know this decision has a profound impact on the people affected, their families, friends, and teammates. While these changes are necessary to best position the studio now and for the future, that does not lessen the difficulty of this moment or the impact it has on those affected. Later, we will share more about the future with you all, but today is not that day. Today, we wish to extend our gratitude and compassion to every member of the Bungie team who has been impacted, and to those who remain. We hope you will do the same. Now, it's not just Bungie. Grum's Mark Kern, the man who led the project that was and became the original World of Warcraft, post this today, I believe. It's so over. Quote, this will likely be the largest single layoff event in gaming history, unquote. Xbox. List of studio closures has been allegedly leaked from an inside source, according to George Broussard, original 3D Realms Apogee founder. While he won't disclose them, he says on top of the closures, there will be also layoffs at the studios that survived the cut. Xbox is going to be supremely unpopular for a very long time. Like the meteor that took out the dinosaurs, absolutely brutal. The crash is here, boys. All right, Marty, let's talk about it, because everywhere we look, these studios that let go of the geniuses, often because of political or ideological reasons, they are suffering mightily. And I'd like to start with you on your experience at Bungie, and how did this happen to one of the greats? I mean, you guys made Halo, you guys made Destiny, you were the kings in the gaming space. What happened? Why did it go this way? And I guess, how did you eventually get pushed out of the studio?
Well, you know, this goes back to my metaphor analogy that I like to use, which is be nice to the goose. And the goose, of course, is the goose that lays the golden egg. And once you recognize you have a golden egg, the first thing you should do is look to see who laid this golden egg. And that's the goose you need to be nice to, because you want more golden eggs. That is what I consider to be the true moral of that fable. Most corporations, they focus on the golden egg and think that they can just duplicate the golden egg, you know, in some manufactured way. And they end up getting rid of the people over time. They just don't appreciate the creative people who had first, you know, in some way came together to create whatever it is that was created. And it happens over and over again in corporations. You'll see them wanting to make sequels and wanting to make more things, thinking that all they have to do is find the formula in the golden egg, rather than looking to the creative forces behind what made the golden egg. So the very first thing that happened is, not only did Bungie leave Microsoft, and then we made the mistake, I think, of bringing some Microsoft talent along with us who ended up working their way into the upper echelons of the company. And eventually, I wasn't the first of the OG Bungies to get let go. So I think in 2011, one of the best lead designers we've ever had, Jamie Griesemer, was let go. Paul Raton was let go. Marcus Lato, who was our art director, and Joe Staten, who was our writer. They were all essentially pushed out of the company.
But why? Was there something that was a unifying force for the reason they were let go, or were these individual circumstances? Did you guys feel a stifling effect as that happened, where you said, wait a minute, it feels like everybody of a certain persuasion, either narratively or worldview or whatever, is kind of being pushed out of here?
I'm sad to say that I was slow to actually realize what was happening, because these things happened, you know, 1 year and then a year later. And there was always like, well, are the circumstances the same? Is there some pattern here? It's sort of like a serial killing that the cops don't realize is being done by the same killer until like the fifth death, the fifth murder. And they say, wait a minute, these things are connected. I don't know exactly if there's a real easy way to say what the connection are between these push outs of the OG Bungie creatives, other than I think there's a lot of, I think the fundamental connection is jealousy.
Well, that goes back to Cain and Abel, eh?
Yeah, it is. It's jealousy and greed. And it, you know, at the time you could say, oh, well, this is a creative difference, or this is, you know, somebody also wanting to move on, but not really, right? I mean, you could look at these individual things, but at some point I started pushing back. I was on the board of directors, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? How is it possible for this to happen? How are we getting rid of, you know, I think I was not happy with the first guy who was let go. And then I fought for a couple of the other guys. And then by the time I got to the fourth guy, which was Joe Staten, I was like, okay, well, that's it. Now I realize I'll be the next. It was just like, it was so inevitable.
Was it the hubris? Was it the hubris that you can replace geniuses, that geniuses are not in fact rare, and that, you know, the top 1% of whatever they're doing is so difficult to find? Was that the hubris, or was it just flat out jealousy? I want his job. He, you know, why should he have it? I deserve it, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, you know, I think you're going to have to read my book.
I knew we were going to run into those. That's okay. We can't wait. Marty, tell the folks, what is the name of the book going to be when it comes out?
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't revealed that yet.
Oh, well, I apologize.
But I can reveal now. I think it might be I could reveal that.
That's up to you. We shall not push.
Okay. Well, the name of the book, which I think we're going to be talking about very shortly anyway, is Truth and Reconciliation.
Oh, I love the. That's great.
Subtitled "The Great Journey of the Creator of the Creators of Halo."
That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect.
A composer's memoir. So anyway, yeah, to me, it's like, of course, I have to reference some of the cool parts of what I loved working on with Halo. It's sad to me because the thing is, when I talk about the goose that laid a golden age, it's not about the individual geniuses. It truly is about the creative, collaborative magic that happens, that you can't just automatically. I mean, how many movies have been made with, like, you look at the cast and you say, oh my gosh, this is the greatest cast ever. This is going to be such a great movie. And then it's just horrible. So you can't just put genius people together and know for a fact you're going to get something magic happens. But that's why you look at the golden egg. You look at the egg that's been produced and you go, wow, who did that? And then you say, well, this goose over here that laid this golden egg, let's try to keep this goose intact. Let's try to keep these people together, and let's try to be. All we have to do is be nice to them, and maybe we'll get some more good things. And frankly, I think I'm pretty proud of the what Bungie did. We did Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, Reach. I'm proud of all 5 of those games. I think they were amazing games, and we added more and more people to the team as we went, and I think we had a good system for adding good talent to the team. And then that was the same group that went on to make Destiny, but it was during the Destiny development. And, you know, a lot of people get this wrong too. They think that somehow Activision was the company that was firing these people. I'm not saying Activision didn't have an influence over some of these people leaving, but if the powers that be within Bungie had done the right thing, we wouldn't have decimated the team the way it was. So I blame the folks at Bungie for what happened to Bungie.
So you talk about the golden goose. The way that I sometimes express that is the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 rule. And so 80% of the success of any given field of entertainment or genre of revenue, honestly, I mean, it goes to anything and everything. 80% of the success comes from 20% of the participants. And then that actually scales so that if you go in deeper into any area, so let's say you look at the top 20%, you say, okay, well, you guys have the 80% of success. Inside that 20%, there's another 20% that has 80% of the success of that group. Yeah. And so Halo had hit the very top of that. I mean, Halo was ubiquitous with gaming. Everybody in about 2003, 2004, 2005, everybody loved Halo. Everybody wanted to play Halo. And so what you say as protect the golden goose, I say, don't fall off the curve. Don't fall off the Pareto principle, because once you get there, it's not always completely obvious how it happened. Right. And you should do everything in your power to protect it. Corporations don't seem to understand that. We've watched this now with Star Wars, Star Trek, DC. The Supergirl movie is another example of this, Marty, where they don't protect the whatever it is that makes the thing special. And they don't anticipate that there's a reason that it's special in the first place. They often think, well, it's just a silly coincidence that it's here, and we're going to use it to manipulate it for our goals, for our own social advocations. And it's like, no, there's a reason that this works, and you should actually respect that. You should sit down and think hard about what the heck is it that put this at the top of society, because something psychologically did this on a large scale.
Well, the only place that I would potentially not necessarily disagree with you, but add to what you're saying, and that is that the corporations and even the people within the team that are making this golden egg, it's not that important to try to figure out what the magic sauce is. I think it's more important to realize that it comes from this creative team. And so what you want to do is keep the creative team as happy as possible, or the quirkiness of it, or whatever it is. Just try not to disturb this thing that ended up making the thing.
The magic.
Don't disturb it. Be nice to it. You don't have to pamper it, because pampering might be the thing that will ruin it also. So you have to be just very careful, because geese lay eggs, a lot of white eggs around. All of a sudden a golden egg shows up. Then you look at, okay, what goose laid that, and be nice to that goose. Okay, I've stretched that metaphor.
No, very well said. It's the Michael Jordan analogy, right? You can't replace Michael Jordan, so you better take care of him, and you better make sure he stays on your team. That's the idea.
And as a matter of fact, and we had a decent. I was there, by the way, during the Chicago Golden days. We had a decent coach, but Michael wasn't really getting along with him, and so we got Phil Jackson instead, because Michael wanted Phil Jackson. Yeah. Was he a prima donna? Probably. Maybe there was a little bit of that going on, but it was the right thing to do, because Michael was a one-of-a-kind person. But once you got Scottie Pippen and you got, Dennis Rodman was probably the quirkiest add to that team ever, and it made it just unbelievably magic. So that's to me, that's the key. It's the mixture of creative talent that comes together, and then you just got to let them run. I like to talk about if you've seen the original Ben-Hur, there's some great scenes in there about the chariot race and the 5 horses. And the most important thing is to get the right horses in the right position, and then you let them run. So sometimes, you have the wrong horse on the inside and you have the wrong horse on the outside, whatever it is. It's the good leadership is able to recognize the talent and put them in the right positions, and then let them run. And corporations, by the way, struggle with this mightily.
At the risk of stating the obvious, I don't think Xbox would be a brand that anyone talks about, let alone still a system without Halo. In those first few years of the Xbox, there were no games that hit on any level that anyone would talk about.
How dare you, Fusion Frenzy?
Bloodwake.
Marty and I are on the same page. We got this. We're ready to go the same way.
Oh yeah. You
went with Bloodwake. I went with Fusion Frenzy.
Yeah. Did you play? I played Azaric. Did you guys play Azaric? You remember that one?
I don't remember Azaric.
No.
Azaric.
To me, it's like saying that Mario. It's like Nintendo without Mario. You know, it's like, yeah, you can mention other things, and yes, that's great. And Nintendo is more consistent across their own brands.
Yes.
I just think as a Nintendo fan, there was one thing to look over at that Xbox had that Nintendo did not have on any of their systems, and it was Halo.
Yeah.
Which is why I always thought, and I still don't understand it except just incompetence. I always thought, why is there not a single game where we have refreshed all of the original Halo maps? Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo, but we can do Reach. But refresh those maps and put them out as, there's got to be 100 of them, 100 multiplayer maps, and just a multiplayer Halo game, and have at it, guys. Go have fun. It's what the Master Chief Collection should have been, and it never became.
Well, I mean, look at, I'm not going to speak poorly of the...
Can I?
the new Halo that's coming out, or the revamped Halo that's coming out, it's mind-boggling to me that they would put the work in to remake the campaign evolved, but not allow normal original couch co-op and split screen multiplayer and just any multiplayer. Like I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. How do you not include that?
Right. There was this question that came out, and it's so funny watching these news stories that proliferate very quickly, and then they'll get a statement that, is it a clarification or is it correcting a problem that was actually out there? Like there was this story that went viral very quickly of, if you wanted to get Halo Combat Evolved, or whatever they're calling this new one that's coming out,
Campaign Evolved.
Campaign Evolved, yeah. If you wanted to play co-op on that, it had to be, first of all, it was going to be over the internet, and that both people had to have a PlayStation Plus membership in order to do that, as opposed to get an Xbox or a 360 like I have behind me right now, plug in 2 controllers, or in this case 2 wireless controllers, and just put in the disc and play. We're going backwards when we add in these multi-$100 worth of add-ons in order for 2 people to play this game. And really, that's the nefarious thing when it comes down to it. They're trying to trade.
Go ahead. Finish your thought. Sorry.
With all of this money, play it now several $100s. So you feel like you did back in the original moment when you originally played it.
25 years ago, we shipped Halo, and we, barely were able to get multiplayer put into it, believe it or not. We almost cut it, and that's going to be in the book too. But anyway.
When you say that, are you referring to the multiplayer mode, or are you referring to co-op, or both?
Both. Yeah, okay. I mean, a co-op was probably more had progressed further along than multiplayer had at first. So, but there was a point where we might have to cut a multiplayer, and part of it was multiplayer. We thought multiplayer was going to be over the internet tubes, which the Xbox wasn't able to support Xbox Live in 2001. So we thought, well, who's going to bother to lug an Xbox over to their friend's house and connect through, LAN and go through all of that just to play multiplayer Halo? We actually thought that would never happen.
College and military said, we're going to do it, baby.
Yeah. So, I mean, thank God we were completely wrong about what people were willing to do.
How many days would you say you had in the buffer between, and if it's in the book, you want to hold it, but
no,
how close do you think it was cutting multiplayer?
It was literally days away from cutting. The main guy, Hardy LaBelle and Michael Evans, who were the 2 guys who had led Oni, and they were running the Oni team, was going to make something new. They were brought into the office with Jason and Alex, the guys who had founded Bungie, and it was basically like, yeah, we just want you to know that we're going to be cutting Halo multiplayer. And I'm shortening the story up, but Hardy is like, never, over my dead body. I'm going to come in and save this. Michael and I are going to do this thing anyway, which of course is what Alex and Jason wanted to hear. But these guys put a tiny team together because they hadn't been working on Halo directly at that point. And we're talking I think spring of 2001 or summer, maybe early. It was late in the process. and they saved it. They pulled it out. They made it happen. But think about it. Not only did you could plug 2 controllers in and play co-op on one TV with buying one game. You had the game, and if you had it on your Xbox, your friend could come over, and if you had 2 controllers, there it was. You didn't have to spend an extra dime to play campaign co-op. But if you had 2 other friends come over, you have 4 people in the room. If you had 4 controllers, you had 4 players split screen, just like we are looking at each other right now. Mm-hmm. And you could play 4 players split screen without spending another dime. Like, why, if you're going to do something that's nostalgic and reminds people of what it was like 25 years ago, why not just do that? Why not give them that again?
Right.
Why is that a problem?
This is not a panel stream. This is a 4-player co-op stream.
and you got to get the trampoline wheel warthog physics in. If that's not the case, I mean, what are you doing really? If you're not bouncing around Blood Gulch, it's not Halo. I think that we called that Chucky physics, because the guy Chucky Goff was the guy who wrote the physics engine for Halo 1. And I still to this day is my favorite physics engine of all time. It was bouncy. The grenades exploded, and if you had 2 grenades, it was twice the power. If you had 5 grenades, it was 5 times the power. So you could do things that were insane. Which I mean, people were spending time trying to launch the Warthog into places that it wasn't supposed to go with plasma grenades and all that. You had people coordinating. Hit it with this number here, and then as it goes in the sky, we're going to hit it again. And I mean, the fun back then of just ludicrous things, but that's what makes the nostalgia. Okay, so Marty, let's talk about where Bungie went. Is it your thought that the woke era of gaming that we've been suffering through now for the past, I don't know, 10 years, did that infiltrate Bungie, or is this a separate issue? What happened to Bungie? It didn't really infiltrate Bungie when I was there. But now remember, I've been gone for an ungodly amount of time. What is it, 14 years now? 12 years. I was fired in 2014. So, 12 years. I haven't been there in more than a decade. So I think I saw just the hint of some of the woke stuff coming in 12 years ago. But it wasn't much. And I'm glad I wasn't there when it happened. But from what I've seen with the pride flags and the BLM flags and the LGBTQ and trans at Bungie groups and all of this stuff that seems to be emphasizing these woke, political correct movements more than emphasizing, here's a game that we want to play and we think you'd like. Right. I mean, Master Chief at this point. That's what I think wrecked it. Yeah. Master Chief to 13-year-olds today is better known for wearing the various colors of whatever month it is that's being celebrated than actually being a cool hero who, goes around with Cortana and stops the Flood and the Covenant, et cetera, et cetera. Now, as you are running for Congress and taking your experience from being a legendary composer and dare I say a legendary designer, because I think you were integrated beyond what most people assume to just be music. If we look here at what's happening in our world, we've got this from the Democratic Socialists of America, and they have had a number of significant wins in California and New York. And you can see that it says socialism is pride, Democratic Socialists of America. And then on the right side, it says only a socialist future free from the exploitation and domination of capitalism can ensure that LGBTQ plus people are truly safe, supported, and free. Pride is an ongoing struggle, and we carry it forward together. Now, this is why I have said this group, I believe, is just flat out communist. I mean, it doesn't matter what they call themselves. They can call themselves Democratic Socialists. They can call themselves socialists. They can call themselves commies. But if you are fighting against capitalism just flat out, and you're claiming that the only way to save the people that wave the rainbow flag, the only way to save them is to destroy capitalism itself, Marty, you've got a real battle on your hands going into Congress. And it's not just that these are a bunch of crazies. We're watching as companies like Anthropic, that's one of the leaders in frontier models for AI. We're watching as OpenAI are investing in, we believe, these kinds of organizations, these political organizations, and helping them get wins. And this is going to be a big, big thing as we watch the funds coming from the tech sector and perhaps also from gaming. We're not sure. But a lot of that money flowing in to help democratic socialism win You have a very different vision for the future for the country. And I think if people had been listening to you inside Bungie, Bungie would be in a better place. What do you think might be a better place for America going forward than what we are watching from some sections of the East and West Coast?
Talk about an existential threat. This is where we are right now. We are on the cliff looking down into the abyss. And the abyss is Marxism. It's anti-Western philosophy. There's a weird alliance of all these groups that are, like to pretend like they're oppressed. So the LGBTQ plus people, the Islamists, the Marxists, they're all together now, acting like they're all together on the same side. They're not on the same side. I mean, this happened in '79 when the communist students in Iran invaded our embassy. Soon to be after they took over, it wasn't long before the mullahs came in and the Ayatollah came in, and those communist students either converted to Islam or they were beheaded. So half of them were beheaded and the other half became the IRGC. So Islam and socialism, communism, Marxism, Islam and communism do not mix at all, but they'll be partners for a while in order to overthrow the West. And the West is the West is Judeo-Christian with Greek philosophy. That's what the West is. That's the history of the West for thousands of years. That's the lineage we have. That's what the Constitution is based on. That is what the oath of every office holder in the United States has to take, that oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Marxists, Islamists are antithetically opposed. They are in complete opposition to the creeds of the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. They should not be allowed to take the oath, because if they put their hand on whatever they believe in and raise their hand up and they say they're taking an oath, they're lying. And it says in the Constitution that you cannot take the oath if you have mental reservations about what you're saying. Now, are they lying? Yes, they're absolutely lying, because what they want to do is change the fundamental nature of our country and the way we govern ourselves. This is a very fragile thing. This is the only country in the history of the world that has this exact kind of creedal institutional government. That is a constitutional republic. It's not a democracy. And to put the word democratic socialism, to put the word Democrat in front of socialism is the same as putting the word Democrat in front of the word murderer. It doesn't change the fact that you're a murderer just because you're a democratic murderer. Yeah. If you're a socialist, you're a Marxist. If you're a Marxist, you're a communist. It's all the same thing. They're the opposite of liberty-loving, freedom-loving Western government, which is what the United States is. So yeah, that was a long answer to I am ready to fight these godless communists.
It's a fascinating thing to think about it. Marxism is about destruction of what the West holds dear. There's nothing built with Marxism. In fact, the only claim that they have is that capitalism is a tool of oppression, and they would like to say, no, that's the government's job. We can't have corporations oppressing you. We would rather have the government be the only one that's allowed to oppress people.
Yeah, which is what's so strange about these, especially these tech companies and some of these game companies that are willing to join into this progressive woke idea, because the corporations will disappear into the melting pot of godless communism. I mean, it'll just all go away. If you look at the way LGBTQ people are treated in the Islamist countries, they're going to go away. I mean, the idea that they're going to be protecting each other is hilarious. It's not hilarious. It's because it's so dire. But I feel I said this on the Ruthless podcast last week. I feel like this midterm, in what I'm hoping and praying for, literally praying, is that this is the revenge of the normies. I think finally normal people in America are saying, okay, you've pushed this too far. We weren't paying that close attention to politics, but you're asking to trans our kids. You're asking us to have our kids be educated by crazy people. You're willing to not protect our borders and have completely open borders. You're asking all these things of us, and now we're going to push back, and we're not going to take it anymore. So I'm hoping that the normies come out of the woodwork and say, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
Well, what's amazing is that the left, there's a meme out there that people say, I was a classical liberal. Now, and this is the Bill Maher situation, right? Now he's telling the Vice President J.D. Vance that he may, his vote's up for grabs because the left, even after lurching left, is now going even farther with the socialism thing. And I just want to say, I think the whole communism, socialism thing, the Marxism, I think it's anti-reality. And I think there's enough deaths in the last century to see that. It's akin to if we said, okay, 49% of players in Halo multiplayer, since that's what you did, Marty, 49% of players in Halo are below average. Well, that's just reality. We know that. But what if we made a promise to them that at the end of the game, no matter how they performed, everybody's going to have the same score no matter what? They'll be happy, right? And there are enough people who apparently don't understand this that think, well, yeah. And if you're in the bottom 20% or 30%, it's no surprise that you might say, well, that sounds fun to me. I'd like to be as good as the top 1%. The problem is we all know that what would happen is nobody would want to play the game anymore because there are no consequences. And that's the same thing that happens in the economy is once you bring everybody together and say equity for all, everybody gets the same stuff. Nobody wants to make stuff special anymore because there's no reason to do so. It's craziness, and we've seen for 100 years what happens when you try it. Death and destruction.
So was it Churchill that said the trouble with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money?
That's a perfect quote.
Yeah. And the thing is another way is here's a person who has earned and created something that's worth $500. I'm going to take your $500. I'm going to give it to 5 people who are lazy and have never done anything. Guess what? Now I have 5 votes for me and 1 vote against. So that's Democrat socialism.
Right.
Now, eventually you're going to run out of the people who are actually creating things because
that's Bungie.
Yeah, well, I think you see it over and over again, and it's a shame. And I think there are other franchises and other companies that have fallen into the same trap. But as a country, we are not a democracy because a democracy is, whatever they say, three wolves and a sheep voting what's for lunch.
Exactly.
It's not this is not how we work in this country. We're a democratic republic that is constitutional, a constitutional republic with democracy mixed in. But the word democracy isn't even in the Constitution. So it's like people it's the amount of ignorance about who we are as a country and what our government is astounding. But what I think people really, and I say this in my campaign because I truly believe it, one good job used to be enough to raise a family, to buy a home, to take a vacation. And that's what the majority of people want to have back. And socialism they might pretend like they're promising that, but they're not. They are anti-family, they're anti-meritocracy, and they're so full of jealousy and envy. And they think it's okay to say, that person has too much, we're going to take from that person, and then we're going to give to you. We're going to skim some off the top, of course. But like, why they're playing on people's worst sinful nature. And I am a total believer in that there's such a thing called sin. And by the way, pride is one of the 7 deadly sins. It's always cracked me up that pride is the big banner for the woke, because pride is a sin and envy is a sin. So to say that person has too much, I want some of what that person has, that's called envy, and it's a sin, and you should be ashamed of when you're doing that. So
very good.
I'm all for bringing back shame. I have no problem.
All right. The stockades will not be on the way, though. We can promise you that. Lauren, you've watched the destruction of gaming and what has happened in this woke era. As you watch studio after studio creator and game after game just be a shameful sort of exercise. We've watched Concord and Dustborn and all these, in fact, games that are being financially supported and engineered by these governments. Like one of those was bought by Norway, essentially, another by the EU. Lauren, what are your thoughts on what we've seen with gaming and how it correlates with entertainment at large?
I'm actually quite happy with where we're at with gaming right now because I think we're at an inflection point that is necessary. AAA has been cratering pretty hard for the last 2 or 3 years. A lot of that is because of their over-monetization of everything, live service gaming, DLC, digital items that they sell on exclusive stores.
It's never going to let go of that horse armor. Every time it's the horse armor.
all of that stuff. And in the meantime, what you've seen happening is a lot of the talent at these studios have been going in and starting their own studios. Right now, I see the rise of AA gaming, and I see a lot of turmoil at the console makers. Obviously, hardware prices right now are through the roof. And so what I'm hoping we're going to see is maybe less intense focus on ultra-realistic graphics and more on gameplay. And failing that, if the market entirely craters, the last time that happened was '83 when you had a full market crash. But out of that, when Atari and Coleco and all of those went away, the Intellivision, what you got out of that was Nintendo and Sega. So there is kind of a natural flow of these kind of events. And I'm hoping what happens now is a correction that reminds these studios that when you get too big for your britches, gamers do find ways to entertain themselves. We'll go back to retro gaming. We'll go back to board gaming. There's ways that we can entertain ourselves that doesn't require us to continue to pay a monthly subscription.
Okay. Speaking to that, Marty, let me throw this to you. Yeah. We're at a major inflection point when it comes to AI. Mythos and Fable that were just stopped by the U.S. government from being available for the time being. I think there's a plan to let Anthropic get that back on the market to some degree. OpenAI is putting out their Soul and all this kind of stuff. I have Luna 5.6. These new AI systems that we've just reached upon, they seem capable, at least in the days that we had Fable and Mythos, to generate N64 style games in hours. I mean, like literally N64 games that I would think should take a team of 20 a year to do, or at least they once upon a time it was far more than that. Yeah, these can now be made in an hour or 2 hours. What are your thoughts about the powers of these systems coming out and what it means for the marketplace and what the government's role is in this?
Well, the genie's out of the bottle. There's no going back. And obviously we can't let countries like China actually beat us. So unfortunately, we're going to, and I say unfortunately because there's a lot of unknowns coming down the pike, and these things are going to grow. As a federalist, I'm the kind of guy who says the federal government has too much power. We need to give more power back to the states. But there are things that the federal government is the only government entity that is big enough to handle some of these things that go across all 50 states and also have international implications. And I think AI is one of those things. The environment is one of those things. We also need the federal government for, our international and national protection. That's why we have a standing army, blah, 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 all the enumerated powers of the federal government. I think AI is going to have to be something that the federal government takes a really close look at. And I don't know what the answers are going to be, but I hope we have smart people, experienced people who are on the committees in Congress and can look at these things, which is why one of the reasons, this is an area that I'm very, very interested in helping be on a committee or part of a, some sort of discussion in Congress that's dealing with AI.
You might be one of the best that we could possibly send, and that's why you need to get the win.
Yeah, I got to tell you that's a little scary to me. I wish I had more experience with AI, but I'm probably, I'm better with technology than probably the majority of folks in Congress are. So I think it won't be. I know how to turn my iPhone on and upgrade my computer. So I think I got a little head start there.
You've got to be better than whatever senator that was that had the CEO of Google up there and asked him, "Is my iPhone tracking me?"
Yeah, but I think there's so many implications. There are implications that have to do with creativity and what happens to the artists and what is intellectual property and our, without a doubt, the copyright laws are antiquated and unable to take care of handling some of the problems that are already cropping up because of AI. So I think we need somebody, as many people as possible in Congress, to be looking at this, the implications to the livelihoods of people, intellectual property, copyright. All of this stuff is going to be part of what's happening in the future. But we're not going to go back. We can't go back. All of us are relying so much on AI without even knowing we're relying on it now. It's unbelievable. So.
I'll also throw in here, it would be nice to have someone who has actually created something artistic.
Yes.
That has stood more than one generation, helping to shape that.
So the guy who created, oh, geez, wow, that's horrible. I can't remember the name of the product. Anyway, another composer friend of mine who's an amazingly good game composer and just an incredible musician. I was talking to him the other day and he's sort of like, I sort of don't feel like writing music anymore. And I'm like, why? And he goes, AI is just sort of taking the fun out of it. It's like too many other people are doing stuff and I just don't feel like doing it. And I totally understand what he's saying, because I'm not dabbling in the creative side, especially on music, of AI tools. Because part of me is just like, I don't want to do it that way. And part of it is like, I'm afraid of what I'm going to come up with. Like, am I going to end up liking something that I gave like 3 prompts to, and I like the piece of music more than what I would have come up with out of my own head? Like, I want to believe that won't happen, but I don't even want to go down that road, because it scares me as a creative to think that my whatever is unique about what I bring to the table could be surpassed by AI. So I don't know what to say about that side of things.
I had the blessing of being able to talk to someone who's an award-winning writer, and I got to visit them recently, and we were sitting there talking about all this, and she was talking about whether or not she got into the music industry at the wrong time. We've had this discussion before, but we talked about an artist that we both like, and going through all the particulars of this artist. And I'll just give you an example. Lawrence. It's a band that the father of these two, this brother-sister combo, wrote on the show Family Ties. I really dig the sound. Pro and Lauren can tell you I won't shut up about it sometimes, how much I like this band.
It's back in the show again. Lawrence is here, folks.
Yeah. And there's a story there with how this came to be. And then if you find an AI artist and you don't know they're an AI artist and you look them up and you go, oh, that was a robot. That's the end of the story.
Yeah.
Like there's no attachment there. And any of the great art, and you just talk about like Jaws, and the fact that the struggle of making Jaws is part of the legend of Jaws now. And when you watch The Lord of the Rings and Viggo Mortensen kicks that one orc helmet and everybody knows he broke his toe on that scene, so the scream is real. Like, if that was AI generated, someone would go, haha, that's neat. And then that would be the end of it, right? We'd be gone past it. So I really do feel like the human element of this in some ways is going to elevate a lot of art in a way that it hasn't been. There's a lot, we rag on Disney a lot on this channel. And the thing that bugs me the most about them at this moment is they've gone from a company that created great art that was also accessible to the masses. And now all they care about is the access to the masses. So now it may as well be AI generated because it has no soul to it. So I think actual creativity is going to survive just fine, right?
I think you're right. I think actually real creativity is going to survive, but I think the delivery systems are going to change because people are going to want to know, how do I authenticate what I'm consuming? And if I'm consuming AI slop, like one of your first super chat people was saying, you want to just throw it out. You don't care how cool it is, or even maybe how it made you feel for half a second, because you're going to go, oh, that was made by a robot. Well, then forget it. So you're going to want to go to a live show. You're going to want to go to a live show, and you're going to say, I want to see this guitar player playing live. I want to see this pianist playing live. I want a singer singing live, not lip syncing, not playing to tracks, not being controlled by technology. You're going to, it might be smaller venues. It might be less whistles and bangs, because you have to get closer and closer to the creative product itself, coming from a true creative person. So I think that's going to change. I think we were sort of getting close to it with the amount of special effects in movies, where it doesn't matter what you see in a movie anymore. You don't come out of a movie saying, wow, I was blown away by those effects, because anything you can imagine can be done.
Right.
And so it's this graphic fidelity. You get blown away by that in video games anymore. Like Lauren was saying, it's not about like, it's 120 frames per second of the most incredible, super hyper realistic stuff ever. It's like, yeah, yawn. It's like, I didn't have actual fun playing the game, or there was that soul, the idea that there's a soul behind it. That's what people connect with when they connect with creativity. They connect with the soul of the creator with the soul of the consumer. And I think we're going to get back to that somehow. I don't know how exactly, but I think we are.
So let's talk about the soul concept for a minute, because I think this is one of the most important things that we're facing as a world over the next 5 years. So the idea of a soul is sort of an antiquated idea in the minds of many, but let's take it seriously for the moment. And let me just say, for the past decade or more, no human player has ever been able to beat the greatest chess software. I mean, the greatest chess master will lose to a computer every single time. Yet we are watching, if you watch chess, if you care about chess, you watch humans play chess. You don't watch software play chess. I think that's going to play out the exact same way in all of these domains. But we are building currently, some say we've already reached the point of artificial general intelligence. We are racing towards ASI, artificial superintelligence. We have to win that versus China. I mean, it would be a horrible situation for the world for the foreseeable future, maybe forever, if China were to win with ASI. And it comes down to why, what they might be programming into their ASI versus what the West would. And so what we have to be considering, and what our representatives have to be considering, I hope, is that we have battled for 100 years about what we're going to teach our kids in school.
Yeah.
The battle is, what are we going to teach the artificial superintelligence about us and about the human condition? And do we matter? Do we have something special? Is the qualia that we have in our everyday lives, is that worth protecting and saving, and et cetera, et cetera? And I worry, this is why we have to defeat woke. This is what the whole thing is about, why we do the show. We must defeat this postmodern neo-Marxism, because that cannot be the viewpoint of artificial superintelligence. Else we are in for a world of hurt, and the people who don't recognize that the divine, infinite value of every individual should sit back and say, oh my, what are we building if we insert those views rather than every person is of divine worth? We need to make sure that's what we're teaching these AI systems going forward, or we face a very uncertain future at best.
Amen. And by the way, I had this conversation in DC with my campaign manager the other day. We were talking about AI and what to teach AI. And we both decided that what we needed is a "what would Jesus do" filter on top of the AI.
There's tremendous value.
Because if it's something else, it's going to be something else. There's going to be something else that makes these quote unquote moral decisions. So I'm all for it. Let's figure out how to get a Jesus. What would Jesus do AI, or a Jesus AI? Because then we can at least go, okay, well, You know,
We better be teaching it about the logos, and we better be teaching it about love and beauty.
Right.
If we don't get those things, we're in deep trouble.
You know,
yeah, and you know what? AI right now, and this happened to me the other day. I don't know how many of you guys, if any of you have actually argued with your AI when you have a chat. I argued with this because I just wanted a simple answer to a question, which was the number of sex partners different groups have had historically in their lives. Sorry, I was looking something up. So yes, it turns out that gay men have the largest, number of sex partners over.
I didn't know where that was going either. Keep going, Marty.
Okay, and then
your campaign manager's about to call us right now and say, "Shut it down! Shut it down!"
I know, but there's no value judgment here, right? So it listed, all the other people, heterosexual and gay women and the like. So that's what it was. So I said, to summarize and to conclude, AI chatbot, gay men are the most promiscuous, and the thing came back at me is like, well, no, I wouldn't use the word promiscuous because that has a value judgment and we shouldn't be making value judgments. And I said, no, wait a minute, give me the definition of promiscuous. And it did. It was like having more than one sex partner. And I'm like, okay, well, we're still just talking numbers. Why are you making the decision right now to tell me that using the word promiscuous is a judgment and a value judgment? And then the AI is like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess we can use that. But of course, the AI is trying to make me happy, so I don't trust it at all.
Right.
But
at some level,
are we going to lose the words like sin and promiscuity and adultery? We're going to lose all those words. Are going to go away because, all those words have value judgments in it. And our AI should have no value judgment, and which means these words will actually leave the English language and the civil discourse.
We
and
must
I'm 100%
win
against that.
We must win. Who wins? I mean, this matters so much. I mean, it's astronomical how much it matters which AI frontier model takes the lead and wins. It's not just the U.S. has to beat China. In the U.S., we have a very severe disagreement about how we see the world.
Yes.
And that AI needs to agree with logic. It needs to agree with love. It needs to agree with beauty. And it needs to believe in truth with a capital T. And if it doesn't believe those things, we're creating a modern Moloch or something, some monstrosity. So avoid that at all costs.
Well, it's could be the Tower of Babel all over again. So let's see what happens. But I mean, I'm looking. I want the Jesus filter and the 10 Commandments built into the AI.
I think there's a story that in the Bible that when you think about the idea of generation here, Jesus in the wilderness refuses to generate bread from nothing.
Yes.
And, he doesn't say specifically why he wouldn't do this. A lot of the things that we could put onto that are interpretation of why he said, I'm not going to do this. He is not one, you could say he's not doing what the devil wants him to do. Another is that there is some value in the work of creating bread, which would have been a very strenuous process. Like it didn't say produce an apple, which would come from a tree. It was produce bread, which involves the grinding of flour, wherever you want to start in that process.
Yeah.
So, the idea of instantaneous generation, even Jesus, who has the power to do all of these things, he says, no, we're going to use it within the natural order of things. Like the idea of the journey of doing the task and doing the work actually has an effect on the person who is doing the work generally in a positive sense.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's excellent.
Folks, if you've enjoyed this conversation, if you'd like to support Marty O'Donnell and his path towards Congress and helping guide these kinds of major issues that the world is going to face, the U.S. is going to face, and we need the right kind of people to face them, you can go to martyforcongress.vote. Started to do the old one. martyforcongress.vote, folks. Marty, final thoughts on everything we've discussed, from Bungie to gaming to woke to socialism to now the future of AI.
Well, you've heard this before. This is the most important midterms ever. It's like, yeah, don't tell me that again. This is truly, in my long life, this is the most crucial midterm election that I've ever seen. I think we can lose a country that is relatively young and is a young, fragile experiment in liberty and democracy, and we can lose it this fall. And so we need all the normal people who have not been paying super close attention to get out and go against the woke, go against the progressives, go against the Marxists, come out and vote for the, I'm telling you right now, there's only one party that's even close to the right side, and it's the Republicans. We got to keep the Republicans in power. The Democrats have lost their way. Look at the Democrat Party. Mm-hmm. They're eating each other up. And if they get back in power, it's just nothing but chaos at this point. So, yeah, vote and come out and vote in the fall and vote Republican.
One of the greatest things we get to do each and every day is speak out and reach out to folks who don't know how entertainment works. And frankly, we think entertainment matters so much. It's why we do what we do. And you can help us send this out to even more folks. Click that like button, share, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. And wouldn't you know it, folks, we're even on Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/WDW Pro. We've got to go, but until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.